Good morning. Today, well, first of all, what is your name?
My name is Fernanda Treviño.
Okay, Fernanda. I hope you're okay. Today, I will ask you some questions to get you know a little bit better.
Yes, that's
If
okay.
that's fine. Okay. Oh, first, when and how do you spend your free time?
I usually spend my free time working out and I like being outdoors. So everything that involves nature or just being outside and living new experiences, that's a good way for me to enjoy my free time.
How do you update your knowledge?
I'd say I'm really into the news lately. So I always try to reach out to news channels or like going through social media and getting to know the situation and the actuality of the situations of other people around the world.
Okay. And what do you like to do in your daily basis and why?
On a daily basis, I usually wake up, I have a breakfast, and there's an essential in my routines, which is working out. And after working out, I always try to keep up to date with the deadlines of my work, that being schoolwork or office work.
Okay. Do you have any favorite subjects?
I actually do. I like everything that involves creativity. So I'd say art is my definitely art is my favorite subject among all.
Okay, interesting. And how would you define yourself?
I think I'm a very hyperactive person, so I don't like being sitting down for too long. I like moving around. I like working around. So yeah.
Okay, interesting. And what would your parents say about you?
My parents will definitely say I'm a very hardworking person. I work almost every single day during my weeks. And even when I don't need to, I always work and I try to get everything on time. I'm a very responsible person and I'm also a very dedicated person. So if I find something that's my passion, I follow it through until it is done completely.
That's very important. And when something doesn't go as expected, do you start again or do you just let it pass?
It depends on the situation. When something doesn't go the way I expected it to be, I try to go back and see if there's a mistake in the progress. And if the process wasn't the mistake, I definitely start again until I get it right the next time.
Okay. And what will stand out from what your parents have taught you?
I think my parents taught me to always take in account the other people's feelings and thoughts. So every single time I'm facing someone, I always try to be in their shoes and in their mind and listening to whatever they have to say because sometimes people send silent signals that we need to pay attention to.
Okay, I agree. And what are the most important values that you take in account?
In general, I think respect goes a long way, responsibility, and anything that involves empathy and feeling for others.
Okay. And do you like working in a group or do you prefer individual work?
Usually, I like working individually just because I have a very specific way of working. I'm a very routinary person, so I have my own ways of work. If I do have to work as a team, sometimes it's hard for me, not because I don't take in consideration people's ideas, but because sometimes it's hard to get out of that routine and follow something else.
Okay. And when do you work in team, what role do you usually play?
I'm definitely a leader, so every time I get the chance, I take the leadership of the team and try to make everyone listen to my ideas, and hopefully they'll take one or build one out of everyone's thoughts.
Okay. And working in a team, what tasks do you prefer or do you feel most comfortable making?
I think the physical tasks. I really like working and keeping myself occupied, mostly my hands occupied. So everything that involves physical work, either in a computer, on an iPad, or literally using my hands to create something like cardboard, markers, artistic things, that too.
Okay. Interesting, everything. Well, now my colleague Aurelio will ask you some questions.
Well, hello, Fernanda. I would like to know about your flexibility. Well, first, tell me if you can have like flexibility at the times of work, if you are very occupied, or you can manage the times.
I'm a person that has a really good organization scheme. So working out, for example, is something that has always been on my daily routine. And if there's something going or coming along into my new routine, I always try to work around the times and make them work. So, for example, if I get a new task in and I need to prioritize it from working out, I try to choose a different scenario or like a different timeline to work out and put my priorities to the best.
Okay, that's a very good thing. Well, about yourself, you are more personal. You are dependent on your family, or you are independence.
Right now, I'm fully dependent from my family. So I get a weekly allowance from them because I'm still young and I still live under their roof. Yet I'm currently working on a few projects that I hope will bring me an individual and an independent economic stability.
Okay, very good. Well, about your professional experiences, what you can tell me about this?
Well, I've been working since I was very young. When I graduated high school, I chose to work instead of going to school again immediately just because I wanted to have a little bit of a taste of real life. I worked as a teacher. First, I worked as an auxiliary teacher during a preschool classroom, and then I excelled during my work, and they moved me up and upgraded me to being the homeroom teacher. I
Okay.
also been working in my father's business since I was very young. Usually, my father businesses work like time zones and seasonally. So, for example, Christmas time is like a really busy time, and usually our employees are not enough to handle all of the work. So my sister and I go in. I've been working with my father since I was probably 14 or 15 years old. And right now, during my 21 years old and in college, I'm taking a few individual projects myself to just try and make it work.
Oh, okay, very good. Well, let me ask you about you. How do you make decisions? What factors do you take into account so in different situations?
And another time, I would have definitely said, because I'm a very hyperactive person, that I make decisions on the spot. Yet, with time and working with people has taught me that sometimes you need to take a few steps back. You need to be patient. You need to examine the whole scenario, listen to everyone's opinions, and then make a decision. Sometimes it's better to just take a few minutes off and clear the mind than to act on impulse.
Okay, very good. Well, tell me about a situation that you remember that didn't go the way you wanted to be, and how did you solve this situation?
A time where something didn't go the way I wanted it to be. Well, it definitely has to be somewhere during high school. I joined a robotics team and we were going to compete internationally, worldwide. I remember that I took in the leadership of the team and I created the design for the robot. So working with the design meant that I knew every single piece of the robot. I knew where everything was in place. And so I was expecting that I would be the one working with the robot during the competition. But because there was someone else that excelled in mechanic abilities, they chose him instead. I remember it was hard because I had made high expectations of the situation and I was really hoping to be the one working with the robot. And at the time, I was frustrated, I was stressed, and I got really angry. But in the end, my parents were there to help me and they guided me and they told me, among all things, that even though I wasn't the one controlling the robot, I still was the one that mostly created it or brought it to life from a piece of paper. So that was my coping mechanism. Definitely my parents' support and help.
Okay. Well, about how you manage your stress and pressure, tell me when you have like exams or workloads, how do you manage this situation?
So I've been diagnosed with OCD, which means obsessive compulsive disorder. So I have everything on check always. If they give me the deadline of a work for Friday and they give it to me from Monday, I work that exact same day so I don't have to do it at the last minute. I always try to do everything on time, with
Okay.
time, and I'm just a very productive person, so I always try to keep keep myself organized from the deadlines that I have ahead.
Very good. That talks very good about you. Well, what situations do you think that are very stressful for you, and how do you react to these situations?
Stressful things to me imply making changes, sudden changes to my routines. So, you know how I told you that I don't specifically like working on a team because sometimes people work differently to the way I do. That's definitely a stressful situation for me. But how about, like I said before, I've learned that just taking a few steps back and acting calmly is the best way to react. So I'd say that's the best way that right now I'm trying to cope with those stressful situations.
Perfect. Well, tell me about one situation you really felt at it didn't go as well as you think it will be, and well, what consequences does this negative impact have into you?
If there's something that has been stuck with me forever is that grades don't define a person, but I learned that too late. So when I was in high school on my last year, my sophomore year, my senior year, I'm sorry, I
Okay.
failed a grade. I failed a subject, I failed math. They gave me a second chance. I was to take a test that would be the deciding option in between if I would graduate or I would stay behind. And I remember that I studied for 3 days straight. I remember that I was so tired that I didn't want to sleep. I didn't want to eat. I just wanted to focus on that test. In the end, those 3 days with no sleep and no eat made me fail. So I had to stay back and I didn't graduate with my generation. It was a really hard hit that I took because I would see my friends on social media posting how they would walk up front and they would take their papers and they would be dressed, with a graduation togas. And I wasn't able to live that experience. So the way I took that failure wasn't a good one in that moment because I thought that because of failed subject, that thing defined me. And in reality, I learned that that's not the case. One subject doesn't define me. So
We,
it
okay.
took me some time, but I got through it and I'm looking forward to my next college graduation.
Okay, very good. Well, uh, about how do you feel? It's very well. You have a complicated situation, but you know how to handle it, and that talks very good about you. Well, to finish this, I would like to ask you, how do you project yourself in the future? How do you see yourself in, from here to 10 years?
I think I'm a very ambitious person. I've always been since I was a child. And I think that because I've mentioned several times that I don't like working in teams, preferably, and that I consider myself a leader more than a follower, that I feel the same way in a workplace or in the real life. So in 10 years from now, I definitely wish to see myself successful in whatever it is that I'm doing at the moment. And definitely surrounded by the people that I want close to me. So that means friends and family. I want to make friends. I want to make experience. I want to live experiences and make memories that will last forever. Among all, I want to make friends that will last a lifetime.
Okay, well, with this, we finish our interview. We will let you know if you are selected to be the candidate to work in the company. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Hello, what is your name?
My name is Landeros.
Okay, Diego Landeros, today we're going to ask you a few questions in order to check and validate if you are a possible candidate for our hiring program. Is that okay with you?
Yes, it's fine.
Okay. The first question we want to ask is about your self-development. Specifically, how do you update your knowledge? How do you keep in touch with your knowledge?
Well, in my free time, I spend most of the time reading and talking with other business people about political stuff, just to get my knowledge a little bit better in that aspect. And I try to read a lot of articles that can make me in favor of information.
I see. And I'd like to know a little bit more about your passions. What do you like to do?
Refining in free time or in
Yes,
general?
and you're like what's a passion you follow through? What's something you're passionate about and that you like to do on a daily?
On a daily basis, I like to make pastry. I like to cook mostly. I spend a lot of time making bread, cakes, stuff like that.
And what are your favorite subjects?
My favorite subject is mathematics and language.
And how do you feel when you're working those two subjects?
Calm and focus of learning new things.
All right. We want to know a little bit about your independence and self-confidence. So the next question is, how would you define yourself? Like, what type of person would you consider yourself to be?
In what aspect? Like,
Regarding your strengths and your abilities?
well, strengths. My most basic and principle is memory. I'm good at memorizing things fast, and also to be organized. I always keep everything in my calendar. If it's not there, I don't do it. And I have an alarm set and all that. And yeah, that's most the principal stuff that I'm.
I see. Before you make a decision in any type of problem or situation, what is the process that your mind goes through before taking or making that decision?
Well, it depends on the problem because I try to see both sides, and the bad ones and the good ones, and I try to hear all the stories that the people were present in the problem to analyze better the solution. So I analyze everything, and then I try to create a scenario that what will happen if I make this, and what will happen if I make another decision.
I see. Those are really good answers. What about when something doesn't go the way you were hoping, or what happens when something doesn't go as expected? What do you do? Do you change the path? Do you start? Do you finish? What are your choices there?
In work uh, or in what term?
In any type of
Like in
environment,
office?
in any
Okay.
really in any type of environment, if something doesn't go your way, what is your choice or what are the choices you make in that situation?
Well, if something doesn't happen the way I like it, first of all, I get a little bit mad because if I know something that is done in a certain way, I like it done in a certain way. So I know the outcome of that action. And then well, I just said like it doesn't matter, like it's already done. So what can we do?
I see. If we were to, put in perspective a little bit of your past, what is something that your parents taught you that you feel has stayed with you forever?
Mostly to be organized, and work becomes first thing of everything.
And what are the most important values you follow in your life?
Well, being respectful, empathize with other people, always help every person. Doesn't matter if I'm angry at that person. If he or she needs help, I'm always there.
Now let's go a little bit into teamwork. I know teamwork sometimes can be a hard subject for a few people, so I want to know, do you like working in a group or do you prefer individual work?
I like working in a group uh, if I know the people there that works. If I don't know anybody, it's a little bit difficult because, as I said, I don't know if they work or how much effort they put to that work.
Okay, now let's say we put you on a team. What type of role are you most likely to take in that team? Do you think you're a leader? Do you think you're more of a secretary type? Do you think you're a follower? What type of role would you take in a work group?
Well, it depends the subject. Well, the topic that is on the table, but mostly I'm a leader.
And when working with, with your teammates, what are the tasks that make you feel more comfortable?
Tasks.
Like maybe I like making the presentations, or maybe I prefer listening to others and just creating something. What is like the task that you feel most comfortable with? Maybe creating, being creative.
Creating, yes, general creating stuff like the presentations, infographics, posters.
Great. Now my partner Aurelio is going to ask you the following questions.
Okay.
Well, Diego, about the flexibility, I would like to ask you if you change of terms in hours on a day, like a continuous, you have a like a daily routine, or you can be more flexible to be working in any hour.
No, I'm flexible. I'm really spontaneous. I don't go into a certain time. Like if I said, if it's on my calendar a day that I have an event at a certain time, I would make the time free to go to that event.
Okay, about your personal way, you are a family independence, or you still depend on your family?
I depend on a certain level. I my all my restaurants, all my dinners, everything with my friends, I pay it myself, but my family still pays for my education.
Okay, and about your professional experiences, can you tell us something about this, please?
Like in general, what have I done? Or
Yes.
well, I work in real estate. Also, I have my personal businesses. I have two of Chile. They are active right now, and I'm starting a new one of bread. And mostly, that's all the time that I take to focus on those projects.
Okay, perfect. Well, let me see a global overview about you. When you make decisions, what factors do you take into account?
When I make decisions, what factors? Well, it depends on the topic, but mostly like
For example, in a hard decision, you having I don't know, a problem on the work, so you need to take a decision so you can go, so you can make it through. So what do you take on account to make that decision, like your emotions or the social terms? What do you take account?
Well, basically the principle is my emotions, but I control them to get a solution to that problem.
Okay, well, so by your analytical capacity, tell me the worst academic or professional situation that you can remember, and what did you did to solve it?
Okay. In one class of movie, it was of cinema. One teammate didn't make the final work, so we as a team talked to the professor to make an agreement that we can make the work, but he isn't in the project anymore. So he already failed the class. And we convinced the teacher to give us a second chance above the grade that it was graded. So we can still have the grade and pass the class.
Okay, well, I want to see about your stress management. So when you experience an exam time or extra works, how do you manage this stress?
How do I manage the stress? Well, I mostly make yoga to concentrate and release all the stress and anxiety. And sometimes I take natural medicine that helps with anxiety also.
Okay. In situations that are stressful for you, which are these situations?
Stressful. Well, it's mostly common when someone in the team doesn't make their work at the time it was established, and I'm behind them, convinced, texting them to make their work. Mostly in those uh, events.
Okay, and about this situation, how do you react?
Well, I'm mad basically.
Okay. Well, so for your emotional and self-control, uh, tell me a situation where you think you failed and you didn't do well, and it have a negative consequence for you that you didn't reaction or didn't have a self-control.
Can you repeat it, please? It got
On
lost.
a situation where, tell us a situation where you think you failed and you didn't do well at this situation, and you didn't control yourself, and thanks of this emotion that you didn't control, what negative consequences do you have?
Well, it was with a client. Uh, he makes he didn't gave me a paper in the correct time that it was going to give it to the right person that was in charge, and I got mad and I told him that I told him that it was done weeks ago, that I looked for him and everything, but he didn't answer the phone at that time, and the outcome was that we lost a property he liked.
Okay. Well, about your mood, uh, how do you value your school experience or university? How do you feel about your career?
Like well, my career, I feel passionate and like I'm ready to go to the world, like live it.
So your expectations about the future are good, or tell me more about your expectations of the future?
Well, good, yes. And I see myself with my businesses international and with a family and married.
Okay. Well, about you, do you feel that you are a candidate that you can fit in into the corporate culture?
Yes.
Why? Tell me, what do you feel that you can fit in into the to the corporate culture?
Well, I'm good working with other people, as I said, and I can. Uh, I'm good at, how do I say, like, uh, encajando with other people that I don't really know, and the work that I've done is always correct in a time that they ask for it.
Okay. Well, with this, we can finish the interview. Thank you very much for answering our questions. We will make you know if you are a candidate to take into our corporate. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hello, good morning. And what is your name?
Hello, my name is Aurelio Segura.
Okay, Aurelio. Today I'm going to ask you some questions to know you better. Is that fine?
Yes.
Okay, I would like to ask, well, to know you, when and how do you spend your time, your free time mostly?
Well, my free time, I spend it working on the family's business and also at the gym.
Okay, and how do you update your knowledge?
Well, my knowledge I updated by reading books and also by working with my dad and learning new things about the business.
Okay, and what do you like to do, like general?
Well, what I like to do is well, working because I like to be doing things continuously. Also, working out like on the gym. I like to spend my free time there because it's I don't know, I like to feel good with myself.
And what do you feel when you do these activities?
Well, when I am working, I feel like intellectual, like I'm making things that are positive. Also, when I'm working out, I feel good with myself, like free of stress. Yep.
And what is your favorite subject and why?
Well, my favorite subjects right now, I think that I'm good at math. Also, because I like numbers, and I think I'm good at it. Also, I would say manage the business strategies. I also think I'm good at that subject.
Okay. How would you define yourself?
Well, I will define myself as a perseverant person because I always work to make the things I propose.
And what is your strength?
All my strengths are that I'm very perseverant and I do not let anything like go away.
Okay. What would your parents said about you in making a decision?
Well, my parents will say about me that I'm a very intelligent person because I make decisions with my head and not going with my emotions. If I'm mad or if I'm stressed, I make the best decision.
Okay. And when something doesn't go as expected, what will you do? Like start again or let it pass?
Well, if something doesn't go as I expected, the first thing I will do is calm my mind by doing anything else, like letting that stressful moment like pass away, like do a fresh start, and then analyze the case why I didn't where I failed, so I can plan a new strategy so I can make that thing go as the way I want it to be.
Okay. And stand out from what your parents have taught you and why?
Well, the respect, because all the values in my family are like all the are the top things. So always we to have a be humble and be respectful with others.
Okay. Define the best teacher you have ever had and why. What is your best teacher?
Well, my best teacher, I would say that is my mom, because my mom is a very uh, brave person. She always looked to the best things for my family. So she always is teaching me to be a very perseverant, to fight to the for the things I wanted to I want to have, and also to be a better person all the days.
Okay. Do you like working in a group or do you prefer individual work?
In some cases, if it's a personal project, I will like to do it myself. But when it's a project where I need more people, I would like to work with a very specific team.
Okay. And what tasks make you feel most comfortable?
For me, being the person that can lead the person to make the task, not to make them do something, but help the people to make the things and with it,
Like a leader.
yeah, like a leader and make all the work better.
Okay. Well, now my colleague Fernanda will ask you some questions.
Okay.
Aurelio,
Hi.
today I want to ask you a little bit about your flexibility. So I want to know, how have you adapted to, new situations? Let's say you get this job, so you have to change a few things in your life. How flexible are you, or how likely are you to adapt to different situations?
Well, I'm very would say I can adapt myself to the times very easily, because if I know that I have to do a work in certain time and I need to go to my personal projects, I adapt the hours so I can make all my day to be fluid.
All right. And in the actuality, like right now, are you independent from your family, or do you still depend on them for certain things?
Well, for my personal things like buying new clothes, shoes, going to have dinner with friends, I pay myself these these I would say these things, but I'm still live in my parents' place, so I depend to my parents in this aspect.
I see. And I'd like you to tell me a little bit about your, you know, the process of you for taking a decision. So when you're about to take a decision during any sort of type of situation, what are the factors that you take in place? Do you maybe consider the other person's feelings, or do you like to take a step back and just, what are the factors that you usually take when making a decision?
Well, the factors I take into account first is visualizing the situation, then analyze the problem so I can structure the way I will need to react. Always the emotions, yeah, take a role very important, but I don't let them to be the factor that leads into the decision. So I make the decision in base of the things we need to make so the situation can go the best way it can, even though if it's a decision that may hurt someone or doesn't like I didn't like it to make. I take the hard way so the things go the best way it can.
That's a really good answer. I want to get a little bit more personal with you. So I'd like you to tell me a situation from the past that was a bad experience for you. And in this case, how did you solve this negative experience?
Okay, let me think. Uh,
It can
well, a
be
bad
something at
experience.
school or like, from your work, your job.
Well, a bad experience I have on the past was at school on the history class. Well, and I say I'm on my person is very bad at history, so I was the lowest grade at the group, and I was about to fail the class, but I start to making new friends and well talking to them if they can help me to study. I was taking extra classes so I can well learn more about history. And at the end of the semester, thank God I passed the history class with a 70. But I think this was something that marked my life, because if I didn't make this decision to have a change on my way I study and see the class, I will fail.
Okay. When you're about to take an exam or you're facing deadlines when you're working with assignments, are you a person that gets stressed easily, or do you have a good way of coping with those deadlines? I'm sorry.
Well, at an exam, yes, I feel like stress, but the way I like relieve this stress is by making a set of exercises of which say respiraciones, so I can control my stress.
Breathing exercises.
Breathing exercise. Thank you, friend. Well, I make these kind of exercises so I can relieve my stress and think more calmly about things I need to make.
Okay. Next question is, I want you to tell me another experience, but this time I want you to tell me how you failed this experience and what you did to cope with this failure.
Well, one experience I failed was when I get to the team of basketball. We get to the finals and we lost the game at the end with the final second. So I feel very bad about this. I feel that I failed the team, that I didn't make my best game, and well, this came to me like very hard, but I feel like, well, then I make a change. I start working like on my free throws and my 3 point throws. I start working myself so I can get better. And in the next season, we get another time to the finals, and this time, well, the work paid, and we get the final trophy.
That's good. So it means you have a good coping mechanism for hard situations.
Thank you.
The last question here is, again, a little bit more personal, but it's something that's very essential for this interview. I want to know your goals. I want to know your dreams. I want to know what you see yourself doing at a long term.
Well, my goals in the future is having a free, I would say, well, to be economic free, that I can be like very calm about the economic way on my family, so my kids and my wife can have a better life that I have. Also, I want to have, well, I want to be the next McDonald's, but about uh, Mexican fast food. And also, well, I project myself as one of the biggest entrepreneurs of the world.
You're ambitious, and we like that here. Okay, Aurelio, well, that's everything for today. We're very thankful for your time, and we'll be calling you soon to let you know the answer and the outcome of this interview.
Thank you.
Thank you.